Portland is often hailed as one of the most walkable cities on the West Coast. However, not every neighborhood lives up to the promise.
I think all Portland walkable neighborhoods are in the Portland, Pearl District, or on Division on the east side. Well, think again, because right here on the west side, there's some hiding in plain sight.
In this video, we're going to take you into 3 truly walkable neighborhoods, and one that you probably is not even on your radar yet.
In this video, you're going to get an idea of what true walkability looks like, boots on the ground.
Where you can ditch your car, grab dinner, take a hike, or hit the grocery store.
And what the trade-offs might look like before you move there. We're Ann and Erica. We run the Portland Life channel. We are relocation experts right here in Portland, helping dozens of people make the move here every year. And we don't just go to these neighborhoods, we walk them too.
Sometimes skip.
And before we dive in, don't forget to download our free Portland real estate relocation guide in the description below. It is packed full of all kinds of goodies if you're thinking about making the move here.
So right now we are in Northwest, also known as the Alphabet District. And tell us a little bit more about location.
Yeah, so we're right here off Northwest 23rd, a very popular area of Northwest Portland. We are pretty close to the downtown core, within about 2 to 5 minutes.
How far are we from the airport? That's always a big question.
Yeah, probably about 20 minutes, give or take, from the Portland airport. And we're really close to Highway 26. So if you're looking to jump on the freeway, literally Northwest 23rd kind of runs right into it.
And really, this location is actually, 23rd basically dead ends at 405, which is kind of our circle around the city, and also I-5. So great highway access here in all directions.
Yeah, so as far as location goes, it's primo, and let's get into the walkability of it. All right, Erica, what are people going to find as far as walkability goes in the Northwest 23rd area?
I think what's so cool about this area, and this is like classic, I spent my entire 20s down here, is you're going to find excellent dining. So we've got Grassa, we've got the Matador, you've got Fireside, which is, they're all excellent. And then there's a million other little food carts and restaurants and coffee shops. You're also going to find galleries, you're going to find little clothing boutiques, anything that you can possibly think of, and it is on 23rd. So this is one-stop shopping for everybody. You've got, groceries as well. It's just, you can find everything that you need to live in this short little area. And I used to go just up the block on 24th. There is a fantastic breakfast place. They are known for having dad service. That is part of the lure.
Grubby good food.
Yeah, Stepping Stones Cafe, absolutely one of my favorite. The Matador is also one of my favorite. Fantastic tacos, adult beverages. And then Grassa is, just absolutely fantastic right there. Yeah, so I think that this is really where, when you're coming into that age where you can go out, you've got some money in your pocket, and you can experience what Portland has to offer. This is where you come.
Yeah.
For that walkable experience that you don't have to just have one aspect that you're going into the city for. And that is part of the allure of the city for people who are moving here. So it's the walkable. I just had some clients, we're about ready to close on a property right now on Northwest. The combination was great because we were looking for something for the wife who loves the country and wants trails and walkability. But then the husband also loves the city, and he's a foodie.
Learn here.
He's a foodie. He loves to cook. He wants all of these cute boutiques with, artisanal type ingredients and the restaurants.
Yeah.
And this kind of just brought everything together. So it was something for her, something for him. And they found a fantastic house near the trails, which is another really cool aspect of this. Some people want to walk the streets, but some people want to walk the trails.
Yeah.
And Northwest is the heart of Wildwood Park. And so you've got Leif Erikson Trailhead here. You've got Lower Maclay, Upper Maclay trails. As I mentioned, Wildwood Park, which is a network of, I think it's over 126 miles of trails that you can just explore on. It's absolutely fantastic in terms of location and things to do.
So the type of housing that we're going to get down here is quite a variety to pack. But one thing you're going to do is pay a premium to live in a premium location. We've talked about this on other videos about how expensive walkability can be. But why don't you tell America a little bit about the type of housing down here?
Yeah, so I think the nice thing about the type of housing is that there is some variety. We've got everything from apartments and condos to brownstones to detached homes, single family type options. Usually there are older Portland homes, big 1900s homes. And then you've got some infill mixed in. But as Ann said, you pay a premium for all of it. I would say your minimum, mid 1 millions to get into a good turnkey type property, single family home. And then it kind of, trickles down from there. You will find a lot of townhome style homes as well as condos in this area, which is great. And sometimes you've got the live work option where you've got retail down below and condos, apartments up above. It is definitely expensive to be in this area. So, you pay to play, but it is well worth it here. And this all sounds amazing. So what are the trade-offs to living in an area like this?
Well, one of the bigger trade-offs is obviously parking. When you come down here to enjoy many of the restaurants and shopping and boutiques, you're always challenged with the parking situation. There is a lot of parking on the main road down Northwest 23rd. They'll pay me parkings. By the way, yeah, you're paying for parking. The side streets get really, really full. And of course, if you live down here, one of the complaints is that there's cars everywhere all the time, especially in the high season where people come to visit, and it's almost a little touristy down here at times, especially when the weather's really nice.
Well, and I remember back in the day when I was dating and you would come down here and try to, meet somebody, and you could spend 15, 20 minutes just looking for parking because it was so busy, especially if it was a weekend night. So yeah, if you're living down here, total bummer to have to drive around 15, 20 minutes to find parking to go home.
Well, and I think it's important to realize if you're going to live down here, the parking situation is going to be kind of a key indicator. So we helped a client a few years ago who bought down here, and the one thing that was important to them is having at least a one-car garage. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in the older homes built in the turn of the century, they don't really have real true one-car garages that don't fit normal cars. So when you find a house that actually has good, decent parking or driveway parking, those houses are really, really good to have down here. So we focus a lot on that when we help clients in this area.
And that was something that was a big feature for my clients that are about ready to close in Northwest, is it has a one-car detached garage, so they can it's big enough that they can get their car in there because they know, based off of where it's at, that it's going to be very tight parking on the weekends for them. So they wanted to make sure that they could at least have one dedicated spot for themselves.
Now, another trade-off is it is urban living. There is tons of walking traffic. There's noise, as you probably heard earlier in the video, with some sirens. I mean, you're right in the heart of the city and shopping where people come from out of the area. People live here. They work here. Also, we've got the hospital nearby, so you can walk to the hospital, but obviously there's a lot of vehicle, ambulance type situations you're going to probably hear or see. But there's just a lot of activity down here. It's got a lot of energy, but you've got to be okay with a little bit of noise coming from the day to day.
And I think what's important to note as well is that because this area is so walkable and desirable with restaurants and dining, that it doesn't shut off at 5 o'clock when everybody goes home. I mean, this isn't an area that's going to be loud until, 9, 10, maybe even 11 o'clock on the weekends.
I think also to point out is there is a smell to this area. It doesn't smell bad. We're standing right next to a restaurant. I have heard in this area from other patriots that if they live in the area, they often smell a lot of the cooking coming from the different restaurant styles. So you got to like what you're smelling all the time. And it doesn't shut off, like Erica said, at 5 o'clock. So if you're living in this area, there's noise, there's smells, there's, a challenge of parking.
I think something else to take note of is that when you live in the city, in these very walkable areas, because life is going on until late into the night, there is a brightness that continues to happen with, so if you're like somebody who really likes it to be dark when you go to bed, you might have to be investing in some blackout blinds, and just know that you really have to create your environment to go to sleep if that's important to you. All right, so walkable neighborhood number 2 is Reed's Crossing out in Hillsboro.
Do not sleep on the burbs. The birds, the bears. This is in the suburbs out in Hillsboro, and this is redefining kind of the walkability from what you see in the burbs. You don't normally see a lot of suburb areas be walkable, but right here in Reed's Crossing, we're seeing a different pattern emerged. Mm-hmm. All right, Erica, where exactly is Reed's Crossing?
That is a great question. And so we are about 30 minutes from the downtown core of Portland. We're about 10 minutes or so from Intel and the high-tech corridor out here in Hillsboro. We've got easy access with Highway 8, Brookwood Parkway, Tualatin Valley Highway. We are west of Portland and a little bit probably just ever so slightly south.
Yeah, it is further away, so you need to be aware that it is not close in per se, but that's the beauty of this kind of design this community around. You don't have to go far to get all your amenities.
I kind of think that this is like the suburbs on steroids.
Yeah.
It is a new type of community for Oregon. We are not big into planned communities, and what they're doing with their planned communities these days here is really focusing around the shopping and the retail space. So you're getting all avenues, you're getting condos, apartments, a lot of townhomes, carriage style or rear loading homes, and then some detached homes as well. We like to say it's, no to little yard with these, but you're getting massive green space. And, and you can talk about this a little bit, but they built this really around the idea of being, earth friendly and protecting, each individual house isn't getting a lot, kind of like when you live in the city. But at the same time, you're getting those green spaces built in, not only for you, but for your pets as well.
Yeah, it definitely was designed with a lot of different styles of parks and watersheds and walkability in mind. While you don't have houses with big yards, it's designed for you to get out into nature and be among the community. So if you're looking for a true community planned neighborhood, then this is really going to hit the spot for you. And we're sitting right now, and you can see in the background here, we're sitting at a Market of Choice that was just opened recently. And there's a whole area around this Market of Choice that you can walk around, or we're actually watching people walk around as we speak, to the Jersey Mike's and the, pet stores and sushi and Pilates. And there's all these stores that have just started to open and more to come, that allows you to literally just walk over from Reed's Crossing to a lot of your amenities like the grocery stores and such. And it's got, a lot of possibilities here to just grow even further.
Yeah, it's also got some healthcare. Providence has a place here as well. And I think what's really cool is that this is kind of set up, it's almost like the city meets the suburbs. I feel like the planned communities here in Oregon are a really great option for families or older people who want a little bit, we'll say, safer, more comfortable options. So while your shopping and retail experience is going to be a little bit more big box store, a little bit more generic, we've got a Shake Shack and things that you're going to see on the regular in these, in the suburbs, it's very comfortable. You've got wide walking paths, you've got the vet's office, so you can take the family pet to the vet and you don't even have to get in the car.
So Erica, what are some of the trade-offs if somebody chooses to live in like the Reed's Crossing area?
Yeah, that's a great question, Anne. So I think first and foremost, we'll start with the fact that you're kind of out there. You're removed from the city. This is a community in and of itself almost, even fairly separate from downtown Hillsborough. Along with that, because it is a planned community, you had HOAs, and those vary in price depending on what type of housing you have. But there's a lot of space that needs to be maintained. As you can see around us, there's a lot of landscaping and it keeps it looking beautiful. A great community to want to be out and to walk, run, take the dog out, all those things. But that costs money. So you will have an HOA with rules, regulations, all those kind of things. The other thing is there's going to be a lot of additional just big box stores. You're not getting that, mom and pop shop. You're not getting
Portland.
Exactly. You're getting a little bit more generic take on the shopping and retail spaces. So I think, and to be honest, parking is still kind of an issue in here, because it is so walkable. A lot of these properties will have one-car garages, or you cannot park in driveways sometimes.
Or there's a lot of street. That looks like there's a lot of street parking, but you can't park there.
Not.
Which is a bad thing, right? Because, the good thing is you don't have a bunch of, cars parked everywhere, which people hate.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, you just may not have, you have limited parking.
And I think the biggest thing is really just the very little personal space. So especially on the carriage style or rear loading homes, you have a side yard is usually what you're getting attached to that. But townhomes don't have any type of outdoor space to themselves, or maybe a balcony. And, the single family homes are few and far between. So you're having to take advantage of all of the communal space.
Yes.
And for some people that works, and for some people that really doesn't.
Yes. So also, you're really out here deep in tech land. So there's not a lot of industry out here beyond the high tech. So for some reason, your job situation changes, or you just don't want to be in this area, you're going to be a bit of a drive from probably other opportunity areas in which to work.
And then, for those working in the tech field, it's also a fantastic option because you're close. We'll even say families. I mean, again, for the same reason as the first-time homebuyers, sometimes you don't have time to take care of all that stuff. You're running your kids to all the different practices and, trying to keep up with a career and a home. So taking those extras out of the equation sometimes is a really good option. All right, so we are in Progress Ridge, our third walkable neighborhood on the west side. And where in proximity to Portland is Progress Ridge?
All right, so we are in the South Beaverton area. We're really close to Murray Hill. They actually kind of blend together in a way, but Progress Ridge was designed over 11 years ago, and it kind of services the fine line between Beaverton and Tigard. If you go across one of the main roads here on Barrows, you're going to find it's a Tigard address. And so it all kind of coagulates, if you will, in one area. There's even an area right around here where they're building new construction where it's a Sherwood address. So it's a little confusing. You want to be really mindful.
Pick your city carefully.
Pick your city, but also pick your school districts because they're all very different school districts. But it sits really close to Highway 217. You can also take the back roads to the high-tech area of Beaverton, Hillsboro. And if you take Shoals Ferry Road, it spits you out down towards Highway 217. So it's pretty centrally located on the west side, but you are a little further deep into the suburbs. And it really services a lot of families and people that are kind of trying to stay closer into work and that aren't looking to make a big commute to the east side or to downtown Portland, because we're probably a solid half hour to 45 minutes
Minimally, yeah.
on a good day to the downtown area. So you want to be mindful of commute times. And we're probably a solid hour on a good day from the airport. So just take a look at a map, maybe run your commute times if you're considering this area. But it's locally, centrally located, and it's walkable. So we're going to talk about that.
We certainly are. Okay, so what will you find here in the Progress Ridge area? As with most of these planned communities, you've got your shopping centers. We've got a Big Al's, which is a fun family entertainment. You've got your grocery stores, you've got a couple, you've got Safeway, New Seasons, you've got all the restaurants and the dining, and as well as the movie theater. So you've got all of those aspects that you would expect for walkable, coffee shop, etc. But then, Ian, what else do you have?
Well, it's no surprise right behind me is a lake. It's a man-made lake. It's not super big. No, you cannot swim or kayak or whatever in it, but you can fish. Yeah, and you can walk along the kind of pathway here right around the Progress Ridge shopping area to enjoy it. So a lot of people love the vantage point. There's actually a pretty good walking circle around and up past the lake that a lot of people love doing, especially in the early morning. But yeah, it's just a beautiful kind of man-made lake. It's nature designed into a lot of the retail and commercial space here. And you can actually walk to a lot of the residential living areas over here. I know when I lived not too far away from here at one point, we walked down here all the time.
I think something that's important to take note of in this community, I'll say ever so slightly, maybe more spread out than some of the others that we visited today, is that they are really pushing, especially with all the new construction that's happening, to create the walking trails so that you don't have to use your vehicle or you can use a bike instead. And so they're trying to really connect all of these new construction sites to this commercial area. And they're also putting in more commercial areas, retail spaces along with the new construction homes so that they are continuing to bring along that retail, living, walkable idea.
Okay, Erica, who's the right fit for this kind of area, you think?
Yeah, so I think this is the young professional, early families type of neighborhood. So you still can keep a beat and a pulse on what's happening in downtown Portland because it's easy enough to get there. And you've still got a lot going on here, but you're not so far out that you're losing track of what's happening in the city. I mean, these are for people who still want to experience downtown walkability, but don't want that in their day-to-day life. They want a little bit more suburb feel to their daily life. I think it's a great option. You can still have a good career here. You can still be commuting to the city, which we find often, or commuting to the tech corridor out in Hillsboro. It's actually, even though you're outside, you're southwest of Portland, it's still a very good central location to get to a lot of different places really quickly. All right, Anne, so what type of housing are we going to find out here in the Progress Ridge area?
Well, you got to have a little bit of everything in addition to retail. You have a lot of townhomes and kind of condo options right around the Progress Ridge immediate area. So there's actually a lot of townhomes that have direct views of the lake, and you can slowly walk out your door. But if you're looking for single family homes, you have kind of the Beaverton Progress Ridge area, just walking distance from here. There's also a ton of new construction happening in kind of that River Terrace area where we've done some videos before. That, like we said earlier, is Beaverton, Tigard, or Sherwood, depending on the address. We recently just sold one in that area, and it was high demand. They had some planned community amenities like pool and walking trails. We're seeing a lot of that happen in this specific area.
Yep.
But there's also, Bull Mountain, which isn't too far away from here, and everything in between that. So you're pretty close to, different types of neighborhood options, depending on your budget and depending what you're looking for. But you can walk from some parts of the backside of Bull Mountain from here and at least ride a bike if you don't want to travel that far by foot, which, I've been there, I've done that. But it's so close to everything. And we're going to continue to see more and more amenities in this area because of the substantial growth. And the goal of the area just beyond Progress Ridge, where the new construction is happening, where they're planning on doing a lot of live work areas, is to be able to connect all of the communities that are being built so that you can literally walk from one community to the next and it's all walkable. So you eventually could just, literally walk to different parks and different communities and retail areas.
Yeah, this is almost like a walking community on steroids, I'll say, because it's a little bit more spread out, but you have all those aspects. You've got the parks that they're building in with the help of Tualatin Parks and Rec. They've got dog parks that they're adding in, biking paths, and then, like Ann said, the retail space to go along with that. So this won't be the only hub of retail. You'll have other little nooks and crannies along the way, which will be really nice. But it's almost like this is a great opportunity for a younger generation, a younger age group to be in, because they usually want to be a little bit more active. They want to go running. And that's maybe what they're doing, is they're running to places or taking these very long hiking walks to get that experience in.
All right, so now we have to talk about some of the trade-offs if you live in this area. Yes. So the first one being is you're kind of a little bit of a distance from the major freeway systems. I would say you have to get to Shoals Ferry Road, which is a major traffic bottleneck for a lot of people to get down to the freeway systems. And you have to take a lot of back roads throughout the neighborhoods just to get onto major highways, freeways. And that can really be an extra amount of time if you're having to get on the freeway system a lot. It's not that close to the airport and all that, so you've got to add on that extra time if you're going to consider living in this area. What else do we think is a trade-off?
Yeah, so I think the school zones out here is a little bit confusing. Back in the beginning of River Terrace, which is at the edge of Progress Ridge, we were shopping. I had buyers looking. And on one side of the neighborhood, it was a Beaverton address and schools.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the neighborhood, it was Sherwood. So it became a much bigger, where they were going to purchase became a bigger deal. Do they want Sherwood or Beaverton schools? And that is really confusing for most people, because they think, oh, well, I'm right next to this house, and that one was a Tigard school, so I'm going to be in the Tigard school district. But that's not necessarily the case. So you really have to be careful when you're looking at where you want to be based off of school districts.
Yeah, and I think with that, just to kind of add on to that, is a little bit of the identity. Like, where are we? Some people say, are we in Tigard? Are we in Beaverton? Are we in Sherwood? And the reality is they're all so close in the boundary lines that it's kind of confusing to know when one starts and one ends. And if you are privy to certain kinds of school districts, that's something to be hyper aware of. I think also there is going to be an explosion of growth happening for years to come. I mean, it's taken a long time for this area to develop. I remember when Progress Ridge itself was starting to develop back in 2011, I think is when it opened officially. And it's come a long ways. There's still a lot of businesses that are coming into this area. But, as we expand, you're going to see a lot of construction, and the roads have been changing and widening and, trying to keep up with the growth. But also, it's kind of the area of Beaverton that's the only area that has a lot of new construction. So something to be aware of.
Yep, 100%. Walkability looks very different depending on how and where you want to live. Some areas offer you that city vibe, while others offer a more peaceful suburban feel. But knowing those areas is why it's so important to work with a knowledgeable agent. If you don't pick the right areas, it could cost you in the end.
Yeah, and that's why it pays to work with realtors who are relocation experts like Erica and myself, who help dozens of families make the transition out here to Portland. And we kind of know where all the walkable areas are. And that's why we tried to compare the Westside to the Eastside in the sense that it's not just the Eastside that has walkable areas. They have them here too, but you may not know that because not all realtors will share that with you. So if you're looking to make that move, all of our contact information is listed in the description below. And if you want to pick up one of our free Portland relocation guides, it's in the link in the description below.